Ladies and gentlemen, the meeting will start in a few minutes. Please take a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, the meeting will start in a few minutes. Please take a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the annual meeting of the 4EU Plus European Alliance, and welcome to the University of Milan. The annual meeting begins with an opening address video. Enjoy. Elio Franzini, Rector of the University of Milan, takes the floor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Milan, of course. Thank you all for being here today. I hope you are having a lovely time here in Milan with us. Today, I'd like to emphasize the critical importance of fostering alliance among European universities. These partnerships, including, of course, our 4U+ alliance, are more than just collaborative agreements. They are a cornerstone of progress and innovation in higher education. In an increasingly globalized world, our European universities must join to remain competitive on the international stage. By forming alliances, institutions can pool resources, share expertise, and offer a broader range of academic opportunities to their students. This, in turn, enhances the quality of education and research across all the continent. Moreover, 4U+ helps bridge cultural divides and promote cross-border cooperation. It creates an environment where different perspectives and ideas can flourish, fostering tolerance and understanding in an ever-diverse Europe. Alliances among European universities are essential for nurturing knowledge, fostering collaboration, and propelling the continent forward in the global arena. You are the catalysts for a brighter future in academia, research, and beyond. Today, I'm thrilled to share with you briefly the essence of the University of Milan, an institution renowned for its rich academic heritage and commitment excellence. The University of Milan, founded in 1923, stands as a beacon of knowledge and innovation in Italy and beyond. Situated in a city steeped in history and culture, it embodies the perfect blend of tradition and modernity. As a vibrant hub of academic pursuits, the university has consistently upheld a standard of academic rigor and intellectual exploration, attracting scholars, researchers, and students from across the globe. Furthermore, the University of Milan places strong emphasis on research and collaboration, forming strategic partnership with industry and international institutions. With all this in mind, we can say that the University of Milan stands as a symbol of academic brilliance, even for those seeking to expand their horizons and contribute to the betterment of society, to embrace the challenges and opportunities of the future. I don't want to make a long speech, but just recall briefly, very briefly, 2 points. The first one is about the place where we are. It was a place of care, a hospital. We call it in Milano Ca Granda, the big house. The founding act of Ospedale Maggiore, and our name for Ca Granda, Major Hospital, dates back to April 1456. The Duke Francesco Sforza was the founder. The new hospital was a response to the growing poverty affecting broad swathes of society, already worn down by famine, war, and plague. The task of building the hospital, such an important part of the Sforza policy, was entrusted to a sculptor architect from Florence, Antonio Verlino, known as Il Filarete. But this is a long story for which we don't have time now. This year, we are celebrating its 100th birthday. Currently, the University of Milano has more than 40 buildings located in Milano, Lodi, and Dedolo. The building we are in became our headquarters after the war. In 1943, the bombings had destroyed a large part of it. After the bombings, this was the situation. But our Ca Granda wall was rebuilt stone by stone and became a place of reconciliation and knowledge. Of course, our university has gone through history. I'll just show you a picture. Okay. In 1968, our university became one of the center of the student protests. Now too. Indeed, this has always been a place of study and ideas. So, this is the story of this complex. First the hospital, a place of solidarity, a symbol of emergence of war, and then a university, a symbol of rebirth of a new alliance. And it is this alliance that we are celebrating here today. Peace, freedom, justice, symbol of education and culture. Bildung und Kultur, as Max Weber wanted. Max Weber, a thinker, a very important thinker for our European university. But our prime focus must always be on students, and this is the second point I wanted to make. We need to give students a brighter future, a future that offers greater opportunities because, and we should not forget it, they are the ones who constantly bring added value to the world and make it alive. It's difficult not to be rhetorical when addressing an abstract category, young people in this case. But it's also impossible not to emphasize that it's thanks to them that university remains a relevant and vibrant institution. As our founder Luigi Mangiagalli said in his first speech as Rector, only one, they are the ones who renew the university with a strong brief of freedom, building a university free of academic trappings, but open to every breath of life to an encounter and clash of ideas. Today, we choose reason and follow the path indicated by German Premier Willy Brandt on December 1970, when he fell to his knees in Warsaw in front of a monument dedicated to the massacred Jews who had defended the Warsaw ghetto. It was a symbolic gesture, a gesture that made the sense of a new Europe possible after the war. We must work for this Europe, a Europe that is a land of dialogue, a Europe that defends, as Milan Kundera wrote, a culture based on the individual and his reason, on pluralism of thought and tolerance. In our alliance, we must find a new hope, which goes behind the nihilism, hatred, intolerance, and the madness of war. As members of the 4U+ Alliance, we are building the University of the future, and we want to say it without rhetoric. We build value. This is our purpose, again and again, and together. Thank you very much.
Elena Buscemi, President of the Milan City Council, takes the floor.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Milan on behalf of the Mayor and of the City Council. I welcome the representatives of the academic world, especially Director Elio Franzini, who is hosting us. Events like today are very important for the city of Milan. For years, we have been focused on improving our services to make possible for people to fully enjoy the possibilities, the beauty, and the vitality of our city. We find in Università Statale and in the city's university system great allies who provide an extraordinary academic and scientific contribution to Italy and to the world. If Milan is an international, modern, and welcoming city, it is certainly also thanks to our universities. Not only that, in the universities, the institutions can find also great allies to better understand, address, and solve problems. Today, we are celebrating an alliance between universities that bring together relations, knowledge, and expertise. Milan, Prague, Heidelberg, Paris, Copenhagen, Geneva, and Warsaw together can give a lot back to Europe. And local institutions are here to ensure maximum support for your work. Finally, allow me to remind you that next year will be the centenary of the foundation of Università Statale di Milano. So my wish is that the future will be also inspired by the great past like this one. Thank you.
Henrik Wegener, Rector of the University of Copenhagen, takes the floor.
Dear all, dear friends, once again, welcome to the 4U Plus Annual Meeting 2023. It is indeed great to be in Milan. Thanks for hosting us. It's a wonderful city. Those of us who know it well cannot help to love it. For those in the audience who may not be too familiar with the 4U Plus, allow me a brief introduction to our alliance. The 4U Plus dates back to 2018, before the European Commission launched its European University Initiative. So our raison d'etre was not created by the Commission. We are together simply because we chose to be so. We are together because we have something in common. We are European research-intensive universities aspiring to become one European research-intensive university. The 4U Plus obviously also belongs to the first batch of European University Alliances that were formed in 2019. And with the first European University project, we already created more than 50 new educational initiatives. Later, we applied for a Horizon project, and with that, we started to create a best practice for our research infrastructures. During this meeting, I will pass on the torch as chair of the 4U Plus Alliance to my dear colleague and friend, Rector Professor Franzini, Elio. From my viewpoint, it has been a great year for the Alliance. Allow me to draw your attention to just some of our accomplishments over the last year. We have begun implementing the One Core, our second European university project, which will be running until 2026. We have started the work on a new strategy that will guide us in the years to come, all the way to 2035. And we have launched a joint golden budget, our own money, so to say, for new initiatives in education and research, as well as a 4EU Plus visiting professors program. And we have welcomed our 8th member, the Paris Panthéon-Assas University, in our midst. Stefan, welcome. So we are no longer infants or toddlers. We're way beyond that. We are rapidly moving into adulthood. We are becoming mature. We have begun changing, restructuring, and planning for adulthood at all levels of our alliance. And we have begun to grow into our identity as one comprehensive European research-intensive university. Internally, our growing is seen in the way that we interact with each other. Over the last year, we have worked on improving our meeting cultures. We have become a family, for good and worse, but certainly mostly for good, if you ask me. We know each other much better, and we are no longer lost in translation. We run efficient. Culture is also seen by the fact that we plan better. In our present European University Project One Core, we have put a special emphasis on this by dedicating a task to producing a yearly plan for our General Secretariat. I know that a very successful workshop took place recently in Heidelberg on this topic, and I look very much forward to learning the result at the governing board meeting in December. Our journey to maturity is also evident in how we are working with our strategy, which University of Copenhagen Pro-Rector Christian Lauter and myself will dig much deeper into during this assembly in the afternoon, or during the assembly in the afternoon. We agree that we need a strategy in order to prioritize, because we simply cannot do everything at the same time. Nobody has the time for that, even old and grand universities. Together, we have worked on distilling out exactly what is important for us and for our alliance. In the strategy, we have 4 major domains that we would like to see as concrete ambitions, and that is on education, on research, on innovation, and on our outreach. I look very much forward to continuing our strategic discussions and deliberations later today. Outwardly, you may also be able to spot our growing maturity in the way we think carefully before we dive into new initiative. We no longer just fling ourselves into every new call by the EU Commission, which do not actually fit our identity and do not match the resources that we have available. And finally, the last sign of our growing matureness is that we are ready to let in new partners. In 2022, we added University of Geneva to our family, as said earlier. This year, we added Paris-Panthéon-Assas. We bid you a warm welcome in our alliance and our family. And with these words, I'll conclude and wish you all a joyful, festive, and productive annual meeting. Thank you very much for your attention.
Takes the floor Tiziana Lippiello, Delegate for International Affairs and Cooperation to the Conference of Italian University Rectors and Rector of Ca' Foscari, University of Venice.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, rectors, presidents, vice-rectors, students, professors. It is a real pleasure and honor for me to be here today for the annual meeting of 4U+ Alliance. And first of all, I wish to thank the University of Milan and its rectors, Professor Elio Franzini, for hosting us and for inviting me to this celebration of the annual meeting. I strongly believe in the transformative power of the European alliances. 4U+ Alliance is a prestigious alliance, and as I heard from the Rector of Copenhagen, it has begun his work before the funding of European alliances by the Commission, and it is a very good news. And I read in your mission that you have 4 objectives. Develop meaningful mobility for students, and your alliance is a student-centered alliance. Develop a challenge-based framework for education, and increase inclusiveness and balance at European level. I think a reform of the educational system and a new collaborative approach among university, national, and at the European level is necessary, and that's why I strongly believe in the transformative power of our universities through the alliances. But I am here in my capacity of Delegate for International Affairs of the Conference of the Italian Rectors, and I want to give you a very short glimpse on what Italian universities are doing for European alliances, and also on the level of commitment of Italian universities. As you can see from the slide, we have 35 higher education institutions as full partners of European universities out of about 80 universities, public and private universities, in 33 alliances. In 2 alliances, there are 2 Italian universities. One is coordinator, the University of Turin, and one has the presidency, and it is within Utopia, our alliance, and Ca' Foscari, University of Venice, my university at the moment, as the presidency, and I'm glad to hear that now also the University of Milan will have the presidency from today onwards. And some universities are affiliated. Also, another thing I would like to mention is the European Commission also fosters collaboration among alliances, among universities. And I want to give you some example. Italian university participate at this pilot project. Topic 1, pilot a joint EU degree label, where 5 Italian universities are involved. And topic 2, pilot for a European legal status. 2 Italian universities are involved in this project, European legal status. You are an association, we also are an association, so each alliance chooses in which legal form to base their own alliance from a legal point of view. So participating in the alliances represents a transformative process, as I said, for the universities, also at national level, and because we try to implement a change in their teaching, researching, and collaborating processes, and the change on the concept of internationalization. Because we are in Europe, we develop our common ground of European universities. So international now means outside Europe, because in Europe we are in the European and our European dimension. The participation in the European University represents one of the most important challenges for the higher education system and allows the enhancement of quality, not only of the individual institution participating, but of our entire system and of the entire European higher education area. And finally, a qualified and numerous participation of Italian universities in European university represents a desired goal for our country. So, as I said, I also wish to stress the importance of cooperation among alliances. And so I give 2 examples within the forum Science with and for Society in European Universities Alliance, Cross Alliance Forum 2023. We have a collaboration within this project among 4U+, Utopia, Una Europa, and Film U. And we have a joint workshop, pilots, and action plans. What are the Science with and for Society projects leaving for future developments of the alliances, research and innovation dimension? As I heard today, innovation and placemaking is also one of the goals of your alliance. So it is very important to debate with policymakers and other alliances about the importance of research and innovation for European alliances and for their future development. I conclude my speech here, and I thank you all the staff of the University of Milan, the Rector, the Vice Rector, and all of your teams, and congratulations. Thank you.
Connected remotely from the Italian Ministry of Universities and Research in Rome, Michele Mazzola, of the General Direction for Internationalization and Communication.
Dear professors, students, and colleagues, first of all, thank you for this invitation. I extend my heartfelt appreciation to Rector Franzini and the University of Milan for their understanding efforts in organizing the annual meeting of the 4EU+ European Alliance. I deeply regret that I cannot be physically present with you today due to work commitments that have taken me outside of Italy. In this moment, I am in Paris, not in Rome, I'm in Madrid. However, through this brief message, I am to convey the Ministry's unwavering commitment to facilitate the establishment and the execution of the European Universities Initiative. Let me share just a few slides, if I can, just a moment. Okay. I hope you can see it. Wonderful. First, we underline the importance and significance of the initiative. European universities hold a novel and significant place in our educational landscapes. It is a testament to our dedication to fostering a European identity and a sense of belonging to the broader European project. This commitment is intrinsically tied to explore of the diverse cultures, the celebrations of multilingualism, and in-depth understanding of the educational research systems of other member states. The values are instrumental in shaping the future European citizens. Thanks to the call published to the Erasmus+, the number of European alliances is becoming increasingly significant. At European level, 50 initiatives are operational to date. We must interact to increase the resource for the future call and encourage integration system between European funds and different nature. Currently, I had this data, 36 Italian universities are actively engaged in European universities. The Ministry intends to invest in this initiative and the new ones that will be activated. As we will see from the following slide, there are 3 work plans on which we intend to continue to work and strengthen in 2024. A dimension in which the Ministry, together with Rector Conference, and I thanks Professor Lippiello that said before, it takes on a facilitating role and promotes the visibility of this initiative. A dimension in legislative size and the last in financial size. At European level, the Ministry is involved in acting to accelerate the transformation of an open and inclusive higher education system in Europe, and the Ministry stands to encourage and support the creation of a space that favors and facilitates the mobility of students and the researchers by addressing issues related to recognition of a degree and supporting universities alliances with this commission in other states. Simultaneously, the Ministry is committed to enhance its collaboration within the European research area. It is imperative to work closely with the European Research and Innovation Area Committee to improve synergies and alignment between education, research, and innovation policies. Key areas of focus include the development of research-based learning, the preservation of academic and scientific freedom, and our contribution to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We must underscore the potential fostering cooperation between research, innovation, and education through the European University initiatives. This will benefit to European knowledge society, promoting open science and making knowledge a common good accessible to all, thereby democratizing access to the result of a scientific research. So, at the national level, the Ministry is working to facilitate the cooperation between higher education institutions. The launch of the European Universities Initiative underlined the need to review Italian legislation to facilitate transnational cooperation and eliminate bureaucratic obstacles in relation with foreign universities. It's very interesting, this work that is going about the joint degree and the double degree in this moment. The criteria have been identified with the following macro areas: is transnational dimension of study programs and consortia, flexible and innovative curricula, including aspects as integrated mobility, multilingualism, innovative teaching and learning, labor market relevance. And the last, inclusiveness and sustainability with practice that go hand in hand with digital and degree transition and promote inclusion and civic engagement. So the last slide, from a financial perspective, the Ministry is supporting the Italian universities selected through the first 2 calls for proposal. We are also exploring the possibility in the new year of co-financing the third and the future call, given the increasing participation of Italian universities in new alliances with European counterparts. In conclusion, we are convinced that European universities are indispensable in realizing the ambitious vision of an innovative and globally competitive European education area and European research area. They contribute significantly to strengthening the inclusive and excellence dimension of higher education. So this is my brief speech. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you all success in your endeavors.
Antonella Baldi, Vice Rector for Internationalisation, goes on stage to introduce the first session.
Welcome everybody, colleagues, friends, those following remotely, students, all students, because we are statale universities. We are, as our rectors said before, the place where the protests start in '68 and continue. We give voice and place to all ideas, students from all the parts of the world. We acknowledged their capacity to transfer their ideas and their energy. And we include them in our courses, in our community, and in our activities. And I think that all of these students, with all the students of the world in this moment, give the energy, the ideas, and the strong messages to go ahead and to build a true, open, comprehensive research, education, but also open to the society and outreach universities. Sorry. Well, I was one girl of 68. So I speak with my heart, and I recognize myself in these students, even if at my time, I would say 50 years ago, the battle were different. We fight as they do, and we continue to do for the better society. Sorry for this, it was out of the scheme. So I would like to welcome to the first session of our annual meeting. And I would like to cut a little bit my speech in this sense, because the time, of course, is running. But I would like really to thank the previous speakers, the rectors, Franzini, Wegener, and Lippiello, Elena Buscemi from our municipality, that, by the way, is associated partners of our alliance, and also Michele Mazzola, because he gave us a very important message. I don't know if you realize that he said that we support us, the ministry, will fund us. So thank you a lot, and we remember that in the future. And I would like also to say that without our member states, our transformative potential is not possible to be deployed. We deploy our transformative potential by two ways: making a critical mass, and you see we are 400 universities in Europe right now, and we will be 60 alliance in 24, but also co-creating the new education and research area with member states. Without them, it's not possible to proceed. So thanks for the commitments, and I think that each member state of our alliance will be in line with that. So I don't want to take more time. Now it's time to speak of our 4U+ alliance. And so it's my great pleasure to invite on floor Isabelle Kratz, our 4U+ Secretary General. Please, Isabelle.
Dear rectors, dear representatives of the European Commission, I think we have some colleagues online. Dear colleagues, dear all. First, also on my side, a warm welcome to this 5th annual meeting of 4U+, and a great thank to University of Milan for the welcoming and for the very rich, intense, and dynamic program that they are offering us for the next days. I'm very honored to introduce this first session, saying a few words about the 4U+ European University. The very title of this first session. The 4U+ European University Alliance and the European University Initiative well highlights the positioning and growth of 4U+ within a larger process that is profoundly changing the European higher education landscape. As it was said by Rector Wegener, we started to collaborate and to have the idea of a European university even before the initiative was launched by the European Commission. So the launch of this initiative in 2018 provided us just on time with a unique and unprecedented framework for further enhancing cooperation. Today, at the annual meeting 2023 in Milano, we thus take stock and celebrate 5 years of joint work towards the building up of our 4U+ inter-university campus, and we also look forward towards, as it was already mentioned, to the development of our joint strategy 2535. I would like to put my speech under the leitmotif of growing in many ways. First of all, 4U+ has grown in terms of its membership. Again, nice welcome to our new partner, Paris Panthéon Assas. And so now we are a community of 8 institutions across Europe, with a community of more than 300,000 students, 58,000 staff. As you might know, we are basing our collaboration also on the fact that we founded a legal entity in 2021, giving us the possibility to really collaborate in an organized and structured way with a strong governance model. Growing also together in the last years, enhancing cooperation among our institutions. So, 4U+, as we always repeat, is not a project. But 4U+ is leading a lot of projects. Some of them are funded by the European Commission. We thank here also for its support, and the member states that we also thank for their support and counting for their continuous support. I will get back in a few minutes to say a few words on this projects, also projects with other alliances. I want first to highlight also this dynamics, this internal dynamics that we launched, especially in the last year, 22-23, based on the fact that already at the beginning of our alliance, we adopted a bottom-up approach by launching educational projects with 2 calls, asking really the community to get invested in 4U+ and building the educational offer we would like to be the one of 4U+. So we funded more than 60 joint 4U educational projects. Some of them now have given the dynamic to develop also joint programs, which is, again, a very important goal for us to develop a joint common educational offer shared among our institutions and offered to all our 4U+ students. We also had this year the 2 initiatives, Seed 4U+, and the visiting professorship initiatives. But I want to mention that it's not only 4U+ as an alliance, but each institution is really investing in 4U+. So let me mention, for example, the mini-grants that were funded directly by two of our institutions, Charles University and the University of Warsaw. And they, in fact, inspired also us to develop the Seed 4U+ call. I could also mention the shared courses. Just to give you an idea, we are offering for this semester more than 160 shared courses to our community, to our student community. And also another interesting figure, in 3 years we increased by 10, we multiply by 10 the mobility of our students. Of course, it's not enough, we want to do more. We want to have resources to do that. But you see the dynamic, it's growing. And we want to continue also in this direction. So a few words about this Seed 4U+, which is for our institution really a symbolic initiative to say that, yes, we are part of European projects, but we are also invested on our own. And we would like to enhance the cooperation internally with our own resources as possible. So we launched this Seed 4U+ call this spring, and the budget is coming directly from the university. The 7 universities took on their budget to enhance the collaboration on education, on research, also for outreach through this call. So we selected 18 projects. We had 42 proposals, and as you can see, members from all our university were involved to submit these projects, underlining also the focus on interdisciplinarity and the variety of the project, and of course always involving students. So we spent more than 700 million euros, 7,000 euros to this initiative, and we hope, of course, to relaunch the initiative next year. As you can see, research was also a main component of the submitted project, because we are all research-intensive universities, and for us this dimension is very important, and we are thinking how to enhance and facilitate the research collaboration. For the visiting professorship, I would say the idea was the same, on our own funds, this time on the association funds, to enhance the collaboration and the mobility of academic staff so that the exchange can be encouraged and facilitated. So for the first year, we selected 9 candidates. So we have from all our universities, academics going to another university for a certain period, carrying out joint education and research activity. As we are short of time, I will not be too long on it, but I want to just give an example that we have, or the University of Milano is just welcoming one of this visiting professorship holder, a professor from University of Warsaw, and a series of conferences are organized, and I think the theme, the topic that is addressed in this conference are very relevant in the time we are living. Getting back very shortly to this European Union-funded projects, of course, as it was said, we launched the One Core project already almost 1 year ago. It's a continuation of our first Erasmus Plus program, and we can already see some outcomes of this project. mentioning, for example, please take a look at our website, the student portal. So we finalize the student portal, and so we really aim to give to all our 300,000 students an easy access to the information about the educational offer for U+ is offering. It was already mentioned, we have also our SWAFs project, which is ending at the end of the year, the Train for U+ project, but this growing also with other alliances is showed, for example, in this final conference, in the SWAFs forum that will take place end of the month in Brussels, together with other alliances. As in one core, in Train for U+, we are really looking to share our experience, the lessons learned, also our challenges with other alliances, and to build together this new European education landscape. Also, very shortly, but important point, we are participating in the EdAFISH project, which is coordinated by the European Alliance Una Europa, and focusing on a very important topic, a topic I think is relevant for all the European university, meaning the joint programs, or to say for the time being, the European degree label. We are all facing the same challenges that working across borders is not always easy, especially when you want to develop joint programs and programs that can also be aligned with national regulation. Another project, Inter-Alliances project, we are participating to is the ESEU, coordinated by the Alliance ECIU, which is focusing on a legal status for European universities. As said, For U+ has founded already 2 years ago a legal entity, so we are one of the few alliances who have a legal entity. And so we are fully aware of the needs of European university regarding a legal status. What does a legal status enable an alliance to do better? And so we wanted to be part of this project to share our experience, to also express the needs of European university towards a legal entity. And we are looking forward to the conclusion of this project in a few months. And growing also for Europe. And I think today I want to really insist and conclude my speech on this. Let's be honest. It's not, I took the Italian expression, un lungo fiume tranquillo. No. European university life is very challenging. We are expected to do in a few years what other universities need decades, centuries to set up. Sometimes we are facing challenges, or I would say every day we are creating, because it's so new in the educational landscape, that every day brings its own challenges. And sometimes, let's be honest, we might have a moment of discouragement, but let's remember why we are working together and what for we are working together. I think we share all the European values, and that we would like really university to be the lighthouse of the European way of life. So also defending, promoting democracy, free expression in the respect of the others, of course, academic freedom, and democratic access to education. So that's why we decided also to launch this new initiative You all know that next year we'll have some elections at the European level. And so, after having already offered a course on European citizenship, we have a flagship, which is also focusing on Europeanness. We also want to play our role in promoting, sensibilizing all our communities to the importance of these elections. I would like to finish on this. I thank you very much, all the people who are daily working for building, continuing, supporting the growth of 4U+. It's a challenging road. But as we believe and we share these common values, I'm sure that we will success. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Isabelle. First of all, for your high commitment, for the overview of the 4U+ path so far, and also how our alliance is growing in the past and will grow in the future. And now I would like to introduce our two students, the students' perspective of our alliance. And the students are, please, come on, Marta from Heidelberg University. She represents the student committee of our alliance. And Elia Montani from University of Milan, who is a student member of our academic council. Who will start? Marta, please. Come on.
Welcome. As a chair of student committee, I want to talk today about our role in the Alliance and about the importance of 4U+ in our lives. We currently represent students of our universities from all degree levels and are actively engaged in co-working with different entities inside of the Alliance, such as work packages, local offices, general secretariat, and many more. We are also working closely with different students' governance bodies at our institutions. As the voice of our students, we look for the solutions that can be implemented in the Alliance, and we give the feedback for the activities that are already organized. We work together towards building together bridges between our universities to connect students, young researchers, and professors that are ready to change the world and tackle the challenges of tomorrow. Only together and united, we can achieve our goal of creating one comprehensive European research university, where every student will be able to travel between our institutions freely and also to co-create their degree programs based on their personal choice of career path. To be able to do that, we are working on solutions like Student Portal, and we support development of efficient credit transfer between and within individual universities. We are also actively involved in community building and networking between students and emerging researchers and also different stakeholders inside of the Alliance. What is unique about 4U+ is that it's giving young people not only the access to get their education, but also to actively shaping it by influencing the processes along the way. Students of our universities have amazing opportunity for a lifelong journey from day one of their bachelor studies through their masters, PhDs, and beyond that. The students have the chance to perceive their education and research from different points of view through the mobilities in which they participate across Europe. And we need to work further to enhance our catalog of classes and the number of mobilities offered, like summer schools, for example, but also to give students more tools like mini-grants to promote collaborations between different universities, which will help us to accelerate development of new technologies and science-based solutions to tackle the challenges of today's world. We also hope that students will be able to get European degree label diplomas soon, opening to them the possibilities they never dreamed of before. New degree will help them to build their identity as European citizens, allowing them to foster research communities better and to be prepared for collaborations with international organizations. As we gathered for the annual meeting, we look back at our achievements and also look into the future. There is still so much to do, and we are ready to work with all of you to reach for the bigger goals. At this point, I also want to thank all of the people involved in creating the Alliance, for giving the students the voice, and for inviting us for the collaboration. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, a cordial greeting and thanks to Dr. Mazzola, to the President of the City Council, Buscemi, to our Rector, and to Rectors Wegener and Lippiello. I would like, in the time I'm allowed, to develop a reflection about the meaning and the contribution that the European Union, both as an institution and as a set of values, can give to a world torn apart by war. This reflection must and will consider one factor. It is a university student who is catching it, which means that the subject of this speech won't just be the idea of Europe, but also how our university built this idea. In order to understand what is meant by the idea of Europe, I believe it's necessary to make clarification regarding the field of investigation. It is not in geographical, economic, productive, and, to the end, not even in the political sphere that we must seek. Instead, it is in the cultural historical sphere that we can find a European proprium, which, in my opinion, coincides with the motive behind the European Union, that is the common attempt for a stable peace, a search for democracy, and the guarantee of human rights. It is, however, difficult to affirm the occurrence of this contribution if one reads the media, if one finds the values that animated the birth of Europe trampled on in more and more parts of the world. So, can this idea of Europe be still the principal way for democracy and peace in the world? I believe that in this direction we must avoid reducing the meaning of European Union and Europe to a mere geographical or economic arrangement, or even to a fiscal rather than geopolitical convenience. Instead, we must get to the bottom of what has constituted the idea of Europe in order to understand whether we can find in it a contribution to this tormented contemporaneity. This is where the enlightening reflection of Pope Francis and David Sassoli come to us. The perception of the importance of human rights originates precisely as the outcome of a long journey, also made up of multiple suffering and sacrifices, which has contributed to shape an awareness of the preciousness, uniqueness, and unrepeatability of every single human person. This cultural awareness finds its foundation not only in the events of history, but above all in European thought, giving rise precisely to the concept of person. And again, our idea of the person, of the inviolability of human life, the affirmation of universal rights, the inspiration for the integral development of the person are the ingredients with which we present ourselves to the new challenges. To fully understand the meaning of these words, a further step is necessary. The value of the person is based on the assumption that the other person can be a resource for me, can contribute to my growth. This applies to both men and peoples. It was in fact the acknowledgement that other peoples could contribute to the fate of their own that bound nations together, nations that had been at war with each other for a century. It must be said that the assumption that the other man can be my ally is the true and fundamental fruit that has matured in the wake of European culture. It is in fact from the combination of Greek, Latin, and Judeo-Christian culture that the so-called search for truth developed, and it is within this search that the other man can be a value, as a contribution in the route to an answer. I believe it is in this common root that I can be united with my neighbor, with the peoples who are my neighbors, despite differences and wartime background. It is therefore this, and the birth of our European community teaches it, the greatest resource that only Europe can provide for the fate of the world, a search for truth that is realized in the affirmation of the value of the concept of person, whose political translation is a tireless search for democracy. And it is in this search that the role of the university can be inserted, a role that cannot be aimed solely at innovation and productivity, but must have in its sights the construction of a model of knowledge that has in its horizons the edification of democracy, and therefore of the truest meaning of Europe. University can contribute to this along two lines. A first, more implicit one. If the search for truth and democracy are the decisive elements of our culture, university institutions must prepare themselves to be places where these concepts are considered the central focus. In this sense, our universities must be places where dialogue, debate, and learning from one's teachers and history are fostered. A second, more explicit one. The younger generation can be the mean for the dissemination of European culture. It is therefore crucial to encourage these European projects and alliances, such as for EU+, in which learning notions are combined with the development of a European consciousness. It is on this basis, and I conclude, that 4EU+ proposes, in the run-up to the European Parliament election, to play an active role in building the future of Europe through a social media campaign to show citizens the impact of the European Union, and through events and discussions on the significance of this election and the importance of voting, especially for young people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marta and Elia. They give a very inspiring speech, and I think that the point of Europeanness is very well evidenced. Next generation has to push forward even stronger, in a different way than in the past, this concept. And in this vein, I'm very happy and glad to introduce Vanessa Debiais-Sainton. I hope she's already connected, I suppose. She's head of the Higher Education Unit of European Commission, but just to say that something more than that for us, Alliance. She's our point of reference. She always supports us and taking care of our request with her advice. So it's a friend for us. That's something that never happened before when we deal with commissioners. So thanks a lot, and give the floor to you, Vanessa.
Thank you so much, Isabelle. I also feel as a friend to you and to all 4EU+ members. We have co-created this initiative all together from the very, very start. So we have strong bonds together, definitely. So dear rectors, presidents, mayor, vice rectors, academics, and of course students, and dear members of the 4EU+ European University. It is always a pleasure for me to participate in the 4EU+ annual conference and to witness the great progress that is being made in transforming the way you teach, the way you learn, and the way you do research. As a flagship initiative of the European strategy for universities presented last year, the European Universities Initiative is about transforming the higher education landscape in Europe. And these initiatives, building on the previous speeches, is of course yours, you, the universities, academic staff, and students. The Commission is there only as a facilitator. It facilitated co-developing the concept of this initiative with the wide higher education community and member states that had very divergent views from the very beginning. But we are very happy that now we managed collectively to federate a large enthusiasm around such a common vision. Now, of course, the success of this initiative is entirely yours, and it will depend on what you will make out of it. You have the potential to lead the way towards the universities of the future, promoting European values and identity, and revolutionizing the quality and competitiveness of European higher education. And this ongoing transformation performed by now 50 European universities alliances across Europe has already numerous impact on our societies, and more to come, of course. So let me mention a few of them. The first one is that you are building stronger learning and knowledge communities together. You are experimenting that we are much stronger all together than divided. You are embodying a strong sense of European belonging. And this is exactly what Europe needs now more than ever in a geopolitical context that is becoming darker and insecure. The European Union goal with this European Universities Initiative is precisely to feed the spirit of deeper transnational cooperation, for more cooperation and less competition, to build on our differences and to make this complementarity a strength, based on our shared fundamental values, such as academic freedom and freedom of speech, that embody our European way of life. Our Vice President, Margherita Schinas, said at the second Forum of European Universities in September this year that European universities are the flowers of this gardening process. You are now, after the first piloting phase of 3 years, you are entering in a new deployment phase to create a real 4U plus inter-university campus, integrating mobility in the education programs of your universities at all levels and across all disciplines, increasing opportunities for your students, for your staff, through mobility and cooperation in all its forms. So the 4U plus online shared courses made available through a common course catalog to all 4U plus universities and students and doctoral candidates is an excellent opportunity for a large majority of your students to benefit from the Alliance. Students now from all your partners can follow courses from all your universities, like the one on thinking artificial intelligence from Sorbonne University, to learn about the ethical, sociological, and legal implications of AI technologies, or another one on European citizenship and data literacy. But of course, this is even better to be able to work together face to face across disciplines, across countries, across levels on very concrete challenges that can help your cities and regions to thrive. And this can take many different formats, such as living labs, blended intensive programs, hackathons, student incubators, and of course, joint programs, as mentioned by Isabelle before. We now have 50 inter-university campuses across Europe through the 50 European Universities Alliances to contribute to bring talents to regions and cities with more than 430 higher education institutions across 35 countries. But we are not stopping there. By next year, the objective is to have at least 60 European Universities Alliances involving at least 500 higher education institutions across all parts of Europe, not only in capitals, but also in rural areas. So all these alliances are not only bringing the skills and the talents to the cities and the regions, but they're also developing the skills, the future-proof skills that our society needs today and tomorrow, including when it comes to green and digital skills. And we are very happy to see so many activities happening across the alliances with the development of new joint programs, but also through micro-credentials to equip lifelong learners with such skills. And they're really leading the way, paving the way to inspire the wider higher education community. We see as well more and more links with all the 1,700 associated partners like cities, like the city of Milan, but also regions, companies, NGOs. And this can take the form of many different forms, not only traineeship, but also living lives with this challenge-based approach where students can cooperate with the cities, with the companies to tackle local challenges. Now, this deeper transnational cooperation has also an impact on the reforms at national level. Isabelle, you mentioned all the challenges that you are facing on a day-to-day basis because of this lack of coherence of the national system. We hear that from all the alliances, and that is why we are step by step working closely with member states to see how to tackle these challenges. So it is no surprise that these European Universities Initiative is at the core of the European Commission priorities, and it is mentioned in the few priorities in the mission letter of our new commissioner, Ms. Ivanova, our new commissioner responsible for education, research, innovation, culture, and youth. In 2024, we will present the first outcomes of this initiative and its transformational potential for the initiative as a whole, building on a monitoring framework co-developed together with all the alliances, the wide higher education sector, and the member states. This will constitute an essential evidence base for funding, European funding, post-2027. The Commission aims to support the long-term engagement of the initiative, and we already provide funding through Erasmus Plus until 2028-2029. Now we are starting working together with the member states, together with all the alliances and the wide higher education community for the next step between 2028 and 2034. We heard alliances for the need of a more comprehensive funding approach, complementing the education dimension with support across all missions of your universities, seeking as well for synergies with national and regional funding. Now we heard the students as well, so as a Commission priority for 2024, we will also work on a joint European degree, together with two key building blocks, which are a European quality assurance and recognition system and sustainable and attractive academic careers, aiming at enabling, facilitating, and supporting deeper transnational cooperation by step addressing the challenges that Isabelle mentioned before. So you have embarked on an ambitious process with great enthusiasm, and we are convinced that this initiative will foster change in the wide higher education sector in Europe at large. And in this process, the Commission will be a close cooperation partner and ally. So we look forward to the continued process. We wish you a fruitful and inspiring conference on how 4EU Plus and the European Universities Initiative can help you to thrive and to implement first your own strategies, but also, as Isabelle mentioned before, also how you can contribute towards shaping the future of Europe, including through the European elections next year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vanessa. Your words are always very encouraging. Some key message: we will become 60 alliances next year. We will continue to grow. There will be a support even after this in the 27 forward, 28 forward, and in a more holistic way. So education, research, innovation, and global, and third mission, as we call, in a very outreach, global and local outreach. So this is important also for our strategy, because if we know the direction of the Commission in the future, we also are more confident, I would say, to engage with the strategic pathway that our alliances need to go on, and also to finance ourselves, because as you see, we put money in the pocket of our 4U Plus alliances, university money, and this because we trust it. So thank you a lot, and now I hope that you can stay a little bit with us again, and it's my great pleasure now to introduce the keynote speech on re-envisioning our common future, the key role of European University. I invite Professor Maurizio Ferreira. He's professor of political science at the Department of Social and Political Science of the University of Milan, and he has mainly worked on welfare states and European integrations. Just mention 2 books. Sorry if I take a few minutes, but I think you deserve it. One is on the boundaries of welfare, the new spatial politics of social protection. That is one of the first systematic contributions on the relationships between national solidarity and supranational integration. And his newest one, Politics and Social Visions, Ideology, Conflict and Solidarity in the EU. Maurizio won several ERC grants, one on reconciling economic and social Europe, the role of ideas, values, and politics, and more recently, one synergy grant on sovereignty, identity, and solidarity in the EU post-2008. So I'm glad to give the floor to Maurizio Ferreira.
Thank you very much for this generous introduction. And let me start by saying that I feel very, very honored to have been invited to deliver a speech on such an important occasion in front of this distinguished audience. Now, the title which I have chosen, Re-envisioning Our Common Future, the Key Role of Universities, brings together 3 different concepts: visions, the future, and universities. And what I plan to do in this speech is to suggest a number of insights that can help framing the relationship between these 3 concepts and possibly help us framing the more specific discussions about the alliance, about our alliance for EU+. So let me start with the first historical insight, and that has to do with visions in the anterior future. That is to say, back in the 50s when the process of European integration was launched. And our founding fathers attributed to integration, to the project of integration, 2 key objectives, which you find in the writings of people like De Gasperi, Adenauer, and the other ones that I have put on this slide. Safeguarding peace and promoting prosperity, of course, in a context of liberal democracy based on human rights. The peace was essentially internal, because the challenge at the time was to pacify, to neutralize the century-long conflict between the various nation-states of the European continent, and especially France and Germany. An instrument that was chosen was economic integration, in line with the famous maxim of Montesquieu about du commerce. Partout où il y a du commerce, il y a de mœurs douces, said Montesquieu. Trade encourages gentle mores. But in addition to civilizing interstate relations, market integration, so interstate trade, served also the other key objective, that of bringing about prosperity. And we must remember that the concept of prosperity, as it was understood in that period was not limited to economic growth, but it was more directly linked to the Latin etymology of the term prosperity, pro-spe, according to hopes and expectations. So it's the creation of a society in which reflects the hopes and the expectations of each individual, treated as a citizen. Now, the specter that I knew I was going to make a mistake. The specter which the founding fathers wanted to avert was, of course, war. They wanted to put an end to those torrents of blood which had plagued the continent during modernity. And this slide, I hope you can see it, contains one of the most evocative artistic expressions about the consequences of war, which is the title of the painting by Rubens. And of course, Rubens was here referring to the 30 Years' War, the mother, to some extent, of all modern European conflicts. And he paints Europe on the left. It's very dark, so I'm not sure whether you can see it, but there's a mourning woman raising her hands to heaven in the hope of placating the fury of Mars, who is the figure at the center of the painting. Mars was, of course, the god of war. And war does not only produce suffering, including among women and children, like you see on the right-hand side of the picture, but also the devastation and disruption of culture. As you can see, I'm not sure whether you can see, but Mars is carelessly stepping on a bunch of books or documents which lay at the bottom of the picture, okay? And they represent, of course, they are emblematic sites of cultural life. So the specter of war has now been, at least we hope forever, evicted from Western Europe, but is still, unfortunately, haunting our near abroad. Think of the Ukraine, think of the Middle East. And I think that the European peace and prosperity agenda must today include a new ambition, that of the task is to promote peace and prosperity also in the outside of Europe, especially in what is called as the near abroad. But let me come to the second historical insight. Peace and prosperity were to be pursued by a careful balancing of unity and diversity. As you know, unity and diversity is now the motto of the European Union. The first time, to my knowledge, that this couple of principles was explicitly mentioned in an official text was in a speech by the then president, was actually the first president of the European Commission, Walter Hallstein. Here in Milan, the speech was delivered here in Milan exactly 65 years ago. And in that speech, Walter Hallstein stated, Europe presents a clear example of unity in diversity. Reconciling the two will be a demanding challenge. He was very well aware of this, which must be taken up by both political and intellectual authorities. And by intellectual authorities, he basically meant universities. So we can use this four principles or values that were set out by the founding fathers as defining a normative space for the development of European integration, requiring an additional balancing of two other couples of values: competition and cooperation, autonomy and communality. Communality is a term which I draw from Max Weber, and it refers to what we could say an ethos of belonging together, an ethos of togetherness that brings together European peoples despite their diversity and in order to valorize their diversity as an instrument for having a thriving and dynamic unity. We can use Hallstein's insight also to develop, sorry for the abstractness of this, but I'll get back to empirical facts in a moment, a scheme to capture the distinctiveness of what Hallstein called the political and intellectual authorities, but also their inevitable and mutual interdependence. So the political spheres has two key tasks: that of building institutions and making public policies for solving collective problems, but also orchestrating consensus. That is to say, making sure that the polity remains legitimate in the eyes of its own citizens. Intellectuals, academics, scientists are knowledge producers. Elia Montani was saying, seekers of truth. This is again a concept by Max Weber. And of course, their knowledge is important for building institutions and for making public policies. But they also exercise rational criticism. So they criticize, they reflect and criticize about the status quo and on how to improve it. And both politicians and intellectuals have the responsibility of steering society, inspired by future-oriented visions, which can motivate citizens, which can provide a sense of meaning to history. Now, back to empirical facts. Despite, as we know, despite enormous obstacles and challenges, European integration, if we take a long-term historical perspective, European integration has been a huge success in terms of internal deepening, but also external widening. We are now a bunch of 27 member states. Now we know that the 2010s started with a very severe crisis, which jeopardized the very integrity of the European Union. Think of the risk of financial default of Greece, but also some other South European member states, of the rise of Euroscepticism, of the withdrawal of an important member state, the UK, with the so-called Brexit. In 2015, the then president of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, said that the EU was facing an existential crisis. Now what happened afterwards? There was the COVID pandemic with all its destructive impact on lives, on the economy, on the social fabric. And European institutions, European leaders have reacted with a quantum leap in terms precisely of cooperation and communality. The most emblematic example of this is, of course, the program, the launch of the program Next Generation EU, and in particular, the so-called Resilience and Recovery Facility, which provides loans and grants to the member states, thus showing that European integration has not nullified or eroded the sovereignty of the member states. Of course, it has pooled sovereignty, but in order to empower the member states. So there has been a virtuous circle between the construction of the European Union and the strengthening of those capacities of the member states which have remained within the competence of the member states themselves. Now, in the framework of the Next Gen, this, of course, you know, the Commission launched the strategy, a reinforced strategy for the European education and then research area. And the key pillar of this strategy is precisely the European University Initiative. And if we read back some passages of Hallstein's speech here in Milan 65 years ago, we can say, to some extent, that this is Hallstein's dream coming true. He was wishing for the establishment of a permanent meeting place for European scholars and their students in which they could feel at home and live side by side. A sort of enlarged and cross-national Ca Granda, you know, one of the names of this building, for teaching and for research. The European University Initiative is also, I think, a good example of the synergy between political and intellectual authorities. As was mentioned by the Rector Wegener, it was the universities who provided the original idea, the initial spur. And they also provided and are still providing critical advice. EU institutions, we have heard it from the officer from the Commission, have built the institutional framework which facilitates the realization of this idea. And both have been motivated by a shared vision of a distinctive European model of higher education and research, blending cooperation and competition within a multi-level regulative regime underpinned by public resources and inspired by the principles of quality, but also inclusion and non-discrimination, the hallmark of European culture. This is a model which is very different from the Anglo-Saxon model. And it is up to us to show that the distinctive features of the European model can not only compete, but maybe even become more effective than the Anglo-Saxon model. Now, once we have established this initiative, the various alliances, and of course this alliance in particular, we have a different agenda, new agenda, or a new chapter of the old agenda. First of all, we have to make reality work. And this is what we are going to discuss in the sessions of this important conference. But we also have to be careful not to lose sight of the vision. In fact, we have to constantly update the original vision. And the two agendas, let's say the implementation, practical agenda, but also the more reflective agenda, need to go together, parallel. Universities in particular should remain the guardians of reflective reason, which is another invention or creation of European modernity. Reflective reason about the European model of education and research, and more generally, the entire building of the European Union. Let me come now to my closer to my sixth and final insight. And I want to get there by showing you another wonderful painting, this time by Johannes Vermeer. The title of the painting is The Art of Painting, which I interpret as a symbol, precisely, of reflective reason. There is a painter that paints a painter in the act of painting. And at the center of the picture, at the bottom center of the picture, we see a beautiful woman holding a book. And we could take this as the symbol of Europe. Europe is no longer a mourning woman, as it was during the 30 Years' War. It's a young, beautiful woman holding a book. The painted painter, the one that we see there only from the back, could serve in his turn as a double symbol. The politician, in addition to the painter, of course. A politician building institutions that materialize the values of European culture, but also as an intellectual providing knowledge. You know, a critical analysis of values, but also technical knowledge on how to build the new institutional framework. And who is the painter of the whole painting? The one that is outside the painting. Well, I would say this is us. Students, researchers, stakeholders, who are looking at the whole process of how European culture materializes in specific institutions, including academic institutions. We participate to the life of such institutions, but also maintain what I call reflective reason. We maintain a capacity of exercising practical imagination. So finally, my last insight, and more concretely. Each alliance of the European University Initiative is now faced with this two-pronged agenda, striving to make reality work without losing sight of the overall strategy and the overarching distinctive European model of higher education, but also contributing, and here I subscribe entirely with the remarks that were made at the end of the contribution of our General Secretary, Isabelle Kratz, that is to say, contributing to redefining the genetic normative project of European integration, peace and prosperity, unity and diversity, and of course, liberal democracy. As regards for EU+ in particular, I believe that the 4 flagship initiatives lend themselves very well to stimulating our students, and of course us as researchers in developing and exercising the art of painting the future of Europe. Rector Franzini mentioned the name of Max Weber and underlined his importance in the history of modern European culture. So let me conclude with a suggestion and a citation. The suggestion is that there shouldn't be any limit to our ambitions right now, also considering the increasing uncertainty and the increasing turbulence of our external environment. And here is the Max Weber's quotation, very famous one. Man would not have attained the possible unless time and again he or she had not reached out for the impossible, supported by passion and perspective. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks Maurizio Ferreira for this inspiring, really inspiring speech. And I would say just three sentences. We will do our best for painting the future of Europe, making real work, but maintaining the vision. And especially I would like also to stress what you said, establishing a permanent meeting place for European scholars and their students in which they feel themselves at home and live side by side. And this will be the fil rouge also of the next dialogues. And thanks to all of you who are here. Of course, we are a bit out of time. So 20 minutes for coffee break, no more. And please go back as soon as possible, even if with a cup in your hands, it's okay. And thanks to all of you. Please have a seat. We start the second session in 3 minutes. I would have liked to make a long speech now to introduce the second session, but the time is so short that I don't do it. And just a few words while I'm waiting for the colleagues of Dialogue 1 to be there. All of you are there? No, there is someone missing. So welcome to the session on Building Bridging, Become One European University. Welcome again, and we are now entering more in depth on our Alliance activities, achievements. Hello, Frank Elio. Hello, Frank. I welcome the rectors of Heidelberg. Thanks to be here. So the second session is, as I told you before, Building Bridging, Becoming One European Universities. That, in other words, is how we are making 4U Plus happen. How to make it from a dream a reality, if we want to recollect to the previous speech of Maurizio Ferreira, and especially create a campus open, inclusive, and European, but also open to outside Europe, as we have said before. Well, this format of this second session is completely different from the previous one that was more institutional. This one is more based on a multivocal talk among our community, led by our students' question. So I think that I don't want to make any speech now. I would like to make our colleagues and students speech, hear them, and the first dialogue is Building a European University Campus, bridges our campus towards the building up of an inter-university one. And then I will call one by one the participants to this first dialogue, starting from our students. The first one is Jan Kmielewski Gil from University of Warsaw. He's the vice chair of the student committee. Then I welcome Flavia Raccanelli from University of Milan, our representative in the student committee. Then Marta Jarowska from University of Warsaw, and she's a member of Working Group Education of our alliances. Sabine Bottin-Rousseau, she is the delegate of the Rector for 4U Plus, a member of our management committee from Sorbonne University. Francesca Villata, University of Milan. She's the coordinator of Working Group Education of our alliance. Anne Brun. Where is Anne? Okay, University of Copenhagen from Education Students International Division. Anne Jurgens, Heidelberg University. She's coordinator of the work package on research infrastructures of our Train 4U Plus project. And Olivier Vincent, from University of Geneva, of International Relations and Partnerships Office. So let's start from our students, their questions, and then, of course, the time, unfortunately, is short, but I'm sure that you can give a nice picture of our achievement.
Okay, thank you. So I will be starting here. My question is, as students, we often see the opportunities and new projects being launched on our websites and social media on the 4U Plus website. But I was wondering how they are actually created. Who are the people that are creating them? And can you tell us about this part of the work that we as students don't really see, but we benefit from?
Okay, thank you, Janek. I was asked to actually start today and present a little bit the behind the scenes of 4U Plus joint education. And from the beginning, I think we decided to tackle this challenge by two approaches or from two different angles. And the first one is to give students and PhD students something new, some new educational offer, some new quality that stems from the jointness of our universities in this alliance. And for that, we put our trust in the bottom-up approach, which led to multiple cooperations that sprang around educational projects that you, of course, are aware of, and academic teachers and researchers and staff that were collaborating. They came up with many ideas for new innovative joint educational activities, from joint courses, seminars, through modules, and up to joint study programs that I would like to pay a little bit more attention to today, because joint programs are actually the most complex, but also the most structured form of integration of higher education activities we could have. And they entail not only a joint curriculum, but also embedded physical mobility and, of course, international and multicultural setting. They are also, most of the time, and can be connected to funding opportunities that are stemming from Erasmus Mundus programs that have been running for many years and are already a prestigious and well-known brand in European higher education area. So for that, we have already running 2 joint programs in the Alliance that were developed by the bottom-up approach by academic teachers in our flagships, in Flagship 2 and Flagship 4. And one of the programs that was actually the first joint program developed in the Alliance is the Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters Merged program on the sustainable development that was developed in Flagship 4. And then the other program followed, the joint program on migrations that was developed under Flagship 2. And what's really important, I think, to stress is that both of these programs are a result of this bottom-up approach and huge engagement of academics, teachers, and also support staff, and that the collaboration that stemmed from educational projects actually delivered those 2 programs. We have, of course, many more that are being developed now also in the Alliance. And we also are very aware of many of the challenges that comes with creating this joint program, but also, or maybe despite the challenges, but because of the benefits, we know that the joint programs are a priority. Not only our priority, not only the priority of other universities and European universities, but also a priority for the European Commission. And we, as 4U Plus, are also actively participating in the policy making and in the other projects that are piloting new initiatives in the realm of joint programs. And one of those is, as was already mentioned by Isabelle Kratz, the EdAfish project, for which we are cooperating with 5 other alliances and trying to explore the idea of issuing this European degree label, but furthermore trying to explore the possibility in the future to issue the joint European degree and thus bring this European education and joint programs to a higher level. And since I only have 1 minute left, I will go straight to the other angle that we decided to develop. It was to actually share and integrate what we are already doing within our education institutions for our students and PhD students. So very much in line with this year's annual meeting's theme, Building Bridges, we decided to open our courses to students, and the mentioned already today many times, initiative of shared courses. It developed during the pandemic times, but we can now say that it is a pretty steady offer that is already a part of our academic calendars, and each semester we can offer our students new set of online, hybrid and virtual courses to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. If I may add about short courses, a few sentences. To make it possible and easy, we had to create common infrastructures. And we started to create two kinds of infrastructures, a student portal, which by now presents the course catalog to the students, and a ULMS, where students can find their courses. So let me detail a little bit the two kinds of infrastructure that we call our 4U Plus campuses. So the student portal is the achievement of the course catalog, and the student can find all the offer of actually the shared courses, and also all the offer that the universities, all our universities are offering. They can sort by disciplines, universities, ECTS, and many criteria, all the courses they can be offered. So this is what they can have by now, but shortly they will be able to find many other resources, like the lodging in each cities of our universities, but also the mobility schemes, and also some training tools. So this student portal was was achieved thanks to, in fact, many workshops and collaboration with academics, UX experts, but also with you students, the participation of workshops, to be able to find what is your needs, and those workshops were very successful, and this is why this student portal is very important, because this is the tool where you can find the educational offer. About the other platform, the campus, the ULMS. What is a ULMS? It's a word that can be a little bit strange. It's, in fact, a Moodle hub. In this hub, in fact, the students can log in with their own home university credentials. So the authentication is unified with Edugen, but maybe it's too technical. But the point is that is a unique entry point with the login, their usual login, so no new password for the students. So it's facilitated for them. It's very easy. They can log in. They will be registered once they have chosen their courses in the student portal. And this is a unique entry point. They will have all the courses. And also for the teachers, life is facilitated since their courses remain in their university LMS. And there is a link to this umbrella LMS. So it was not an easy task for us, and we are still tackling one subject, which is the GDPR problem and the data sharing of the students. And we are still tackling this issue within one core project, and this will be ended shortly, because we want to open this Moodle LMS next semester for our students. Thank you.
I am smiling because hearing Sabine's answer to the question, I'm thinking that we tend to see the student portal as our baby, which was conceived in parallel with and reflects the foundations of the 4U+ educational framework, and is being developed alongside the 4U+ educational activities. Anyway, at 4U+, we love to refer to our students' learning experience as a journey that they decide to make within our alliance. But 4U+ is also an ongoing learning experience for us as researchers and lecturers. We see our role as enablers who accompany our students in that journey and help them to collect various experiences, skills, competencies, and to put them in their backpacks. Also, we hope that those experiences, competencies, and skills will be valuable tools to overcome the manifold work and personal challenges that they will face. Innovative pedagogies hold the key to unlocking those competencies and skills, unleashing untapped potential within each student. Thus, to support the endeavors of the 4U+ lecturers in adopting innovative, research-based pedagogical approaches, when we were planning the activities to be implemented in the One Core project, the idea came out to create a virtual space where the 4U+ community could cooperate for the benefit of our students. We name it the 4U+ Virtual Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning. And the objectives of this 4U+ Virtual Center are to serve as a basis or as a virtual hub for pedagogical resources, to support 4U+ lecturers in designing, co-designing, and co-implementing student-centered courses, and to enable students to benefit from the 4U+ comprehensive learning experience. The 4U+ Virtual Center aims to foster building a community of excellence in teaching and learning, which strives from the practice that we all have at our universities to create an authentically enriching learning experience, learning journey, as I said. How do we plan to do that? I would say mainly by empowering our students, our PhD candidates, and our lecturers in their journey. This empowerment involves facilitating cooperation, igniting knowledge exchange, and best practice sharing among the 4U+ Alliance members. We will also embark on a quest to develop, curate, and disseminating a manifold range of high-quality, open-access pedagogical resources that foster creativity, kindle critical thinking, and inspire active learning, as is the case for the 4U+ ABC Learning Design Workshop. Finally, the pedagogical resources disseminated through the Virtual Center may provide professional development opportunities for the community of lecturers. In a few words, join and share is expected to become the mantra that will also reverberate through the corridors of our virtual center. Thank you.
Thank you for a great question. In 4U+, when we work with lifelong learning, when we work with open science and citizen science, we reach outside of our own alliance. That requires of us still to collaborate inside of our alliance. And collaboration, I think, is a key word in your question, how do we do it? Because we need to reach the point in both the educational offers for the students, but also when we reach outside of the alliance, where 2 + 2 = 5, meaning that what we do as an alliance when we collaborate all 8 institutions together make even more value than what we can each do individually as institutions. So I think collaboration is a key word in terms of responding to your question, how do we do it? But collaboration, as we all know, is not necessarily easy. It's easily said, but not necessarily easily done. When we're reaching outside of the universities, it's also still important within our alliance to have a firm foundation from which we can collaborate from. So I think having shared approaches, having shared procedures when we are designing our lifelong learning offers, our open science offers, workshops, whatever we are doing, having a shared understanding of how we approach it, having shared procedures within our alliance when we approach it, I think that is that's a key factor for us. We also need, in what we do, of course, when we're talking outside of the Alliance, have a view to what are the needs of the recipients, what are the needs of the working professionals that we are trying to make courses and cater for. So keeping that, when we design what we're doing, keeping that dialogue with our stakeholders outside of our alliance is a key factor in order to produce something that is really good and add value, and also something that is more valuable than what we can each do as separate institutions. So that goes for our MOOCs, for example, our lifelong learning courses, our approach to open science and citizen science.
Thank you so much for all the answers you give us today. I wanted to tell you that we as students know that in the For You Plus vision, the inter-university campus aims not only at supporting the circulation of students, but also the collaboration amongst researchers, staff, and with external partners. What is the state of the art on this, and how are you making progress toward this vision for the future?
I think I'm the first one in responding to that. Is that right, or is it you, Annie? I can't remember the line of order. Is that all right? I'll just, I'll start up. Super. Collaboration, as I mentioned earlier, is quite essential, and we're talking about collaboration between academic staff and staff in general at our institutions. That's of high importance in order to reach good products and reach what we are aiming to do. I would like to see that collaboration also lead into 4U Plus being a lifelong learning partner, so that it's something that we continue when people are actually leaving our institutions, that we are continuing our collaboration with our alumni, and that we have, again, shared approaches, that we offer, for example, micro-credentials to our alumni, and that we're able to engage with them throughout their working career and engage with them as citizens of Europe as well. Yesterday I was attending a meeting between our staff working on open science and book publishing, and the idea of, for example, having our alliance work as an interpreter or a translator, you might say, between the citizens that need to act or react to the research that we are making and our researchers, so that it becomes understandable and doable. For example, within health science, the great research that is made is not necessarily something that is easily adaptable or easily something you can easily act on as a citizen, but having our alliance work as a translator, for example, through online courses, through lifelong learning courses, training people to help citizens adapt to what we are doing in the alliance. And sorry, Annie, if I took your place.
I don't think you did, but no problem. Thank you. I'll take it from here. Actually, it's a very good question, since I would like to, in this manner, introduce our new grant support service, our inter-alliance grant support service that we launched yesterday, which is, of course, a great success since it was now launched before the annual meeting. This is actually an answer to the question, since with the grant support service we will be providing service for students and researchers, so merging those two alliance-wide services in terms of calls and grant opportunities for researchers and for students. We will have a team of professional grant support officers from all of our universities The website, like I said, was just launched yesterday, and students and researchers are welcome to explore the website and look at the website and see what there is to offer. So basically, we will not only be focusing on educational issues. We heard today education is a huge part of 4U+, but research is also a huge part, and we want to foster that more in the future. The calls that we will be providing information on are educational calls for Erasmus Plus or Erasmus Mundus, for example, and for research, the known calls in Horizon Europe and Marie Curie actions, etc. And also other calls for staff mobility. There will also be information on that, and we encourage everybody to look at the website and reach out to the grant support officers who will be present at the website at our universities and who will be helping the students and the researchers to provide information on calls and on grants, to be able to provide mobility between our universities for students and for researchers. So this is a very important part of 4U+, as we heard today. We want to foster collaboration, we want to foster mobility, and we hope that with the new service we will be able to do that. I will also shortly talk about the research dimension, since I'm the one, we heard about the Train 4U+ project today. I am the one from Heidelberg University working on that project, and I have been working on it for the last 3 years. What we have been doing for a large period of time is look at our universities, look at the differences in our universities, and especially, for example, we have been exploring the research infrastructures at our universities. You can maybe imagine the research infrastructures being laboratories or everywhere you can do research in. We have been exploring those at our universities. As you can imagine, there are huge differences, but also similarities, and we hope that with the work that we have been doing in Train 4U+, in mapping out the research infrastructure facilities at our universities, we will be able in the future to provide information for researchers and for students as well, on where and what facilities are there at our universities and what possibilities there are to do research in them and to collaborate in the research facilities. So this is what the research dimension is basically about, but it's also the information for students that we provide, and we encourage everybody to reach out to us at the Research Support Office at 4U+. Thank you.
Thank you for your very interesting question. I think that collaboration between researchers and external partners is very important. We've seen a wonderful painting by Rubens this morning with Mars, the god of war, stepping on books, and then Europe trying to avoid that. That's a wonderful picture because it shows that we are here to build bridges with the outside world. We have to go out of the academic world to be able to communicate with external partners. This is part of the strategy, which is actually presently being discussed, the fourth pillar of our strategy, global outreach. And what we want to do at the University of Geneva is to propose a platform for starting a dialogue with international organizations and NGOs based in Geneva in order to put our communities in contact with the policy sphere. So we have the intellectual sphere and the political sphere talking to each other. So that's what we want to bring to the Alliance. How can we do that? We want to start with 5 projects, very concrete projects, where we work for the students at every level, from BA, bachelor students, master students. They can already participate in language courses, online language courses given to refugees in Azraq, Jordan, and Kakumi, Kenya. thanks to a platform that we have. That's for master PhD, master bachelor students. For doctoral students, we want to invite them to have a tour of international Geneva in the field of environment. And thanks to our Institute for Environmental Studies, we're able to make those connections with the PhD students in order for them to interact between 4U plus PhD students and to interact with decision makers in the international organizations. So that's in UNEP, for example, or NGOs active in this field. There are many, many of them in Geneva. So that's a program we want to launch. We want to launch another one, for example, on global health, because there is a big conference, the biggest in Europe, about global health taking place in Geneva. And then we want to invite again the PhD students. And for the researchers, we want to include, that still have to be discussed, but to be able to coach researchers to develop their projects in collaboration with international organizations. It's called the Impact Collaboration Program. It has already been developed for the University of Geneva and global partners, but we want to replicate it only for 4U+. So with all those activities, we want to serve the global society. 4U+ is at the service of global society, and it's only by joining forces that we will be able to solve global challenges for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivier. After Olivier, maybe to answer to your question, I would like also to emphasize that we try to extend our actions with external partners, both in the field of research and education. And maybe I could give two examples, one on each domain. In the domain of research and innovation, we will showcase it through an event that will be organized by the Train for EU SWAF project by the end of this month. Such an event will be called Transfer from Academia to Business and Society. And you have here the flyer of this event. And it brings together representatives of 4U+ members, university, European Commission officials, and socio-economic partners to discuss and demonstrate how academia can successfully interact with the business sector and society. This event is organized by Sorbonne University, Trend for You, and 4U+ local team, and it will be held on the 27th of November, and it will be fully online. The registration is open, and you are all invited to register and attend this event. This webinar is also aiming to showcase the effectiveness of the link between academia and business, based on the experience of the 4U+ Alliance's collaboration with its socio-economic partners. It also provides an opportunity to examine the academia business transfer through thematic approaches. So please register to our event. The second example is linked to our educational offer and is the diploma on entrepreneurship that we launched with 4 universities of the Alliance. This diploma was launched last year, and it was a pilot experiment, and our first cohort is diploma just this year. There was 30 students, and the format was a hybrid format. So there was 2 events on site. So last year it was organized at Sorbonne, a boot camp to launch the event, and a final event. And meanwhile, it was online with training session and tutors. The objective was to bring European students around diverse entrepreneurial projects proposed by socio-economic partners linked to main societal issues. Each group worked in parallel using processes and tools provided in masterclass and supported by local tutors. But maybe the best is to watch the videos with testimonial of students, and maybe I will stop talking and enjoy the video.
Challenging.
Connection.
Very important addition to my CV that I'm very proud of. International value.
The corporate partner experience.
It was a fun ride.
This course has the potential to teach students a lot of soft skills, more than like competencies that are specific to entrepreneurship. So how to collaborate, how to solve problems, how to start thinking about how to solve problems.
We touched all the topics that a project leader or a project manager, but also an entrepreneur can face during an entrepreneurial life.
The first benefit and the most valuable one was to know a lot of different people from different countries and from different universities. So the network was really rich and important for me.
For me, it's the baseline to learn about business. I'm now ready. I feel like I'm ready to go into the corporate world. I will be working in the corporate world. I got a job, so I'm starting soon. And actually, it was, of course, I added that in my CV. And every single interview I did with big companies, the first question was like, what is this university diploma and what is it about? So I think it helped me a lot also getting my job, giving me credibility, because I'm not only the scientist, PhD students, I'm actually someone that will understand their language when it comes to business people.
We are very happy to participate in this project because it brings fresh point of view. And we benefit from cooperation, both international but also national, with our local stakeholders, which is Warsaw University.
I definitely recommend other companies working with this program. However, I also encourage everyone who gives a challenge into this group of people that they shouldn't stick to a clear picture of the outcome, but be rather open to what actually comes out of it at the end, and think about the problem and people say, be in love with the problem and not the solution, and I think that definitely applies here.
So if I was asked to do this course again, I will probably do it because it was one of the most valuable experiences during my academic life.
So the program is running again this year.
I can. No microphone. I have microphone again. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your concrete examples of how we make For You Plus happens. And of course, I have no time to say anything more, but you have said enough, I think. And so thanks again. And we can switch from the dialogue on 1 to dialogue 2. Thanks. Well, on the same vein, on bridging, now we move to Dialogue 2, Bridging Education and Research. And this is also part of our strategy, because, of course, we are the same people that educate, make research, and so students must take advantage of this opportunity to have access to research outcomes. And for this, in this vein, please, I start to welcome on floor Salim Hanna, University of Copenhagen. Thank you for the student committee. Marta Lies, that we have already heard this morning, here again, thank you, from the Heidelberg University. Julie Hubednyakova, I don't know if it's correct, sorry, from Charles University. She is a VG Education Co-Coordinator. Antonella Delle Fave from University of Milan, Program Committee of Flagship 1. And from Flagship 2, I welcome on the floor Morten Rasmussen from University of Copenhagen, and Flagship 3, Jürgen Hesser from Heidelberg Universities. And David Isiosa, David, okay. Flagship 4 from Sorbonne University, and Paola Galimberti from University of Milan for U+ Open Science and University Press. Please, I give the floor of the first question. I think, Salim, you start. Thank you.
The term PhD student has two elements, the PhD element, which is about research, and the student element, which is about education. So I'm going to start by asking about research and education. The Alliance has 8 research-intensive universities with the highest research output in Europe, almost. So my question is, how do you use your research experience in influencing the teaching methodologies and the education activities in the universities? And the other way around, how do you use the experiences from teaching into influencing the research methodologies and activities at the same time? And the last question is about what makes the Alliance, the 4EU+ Alliance, special when it comes to bridging the gap between research and education.
So if I may start, thank you. If we are talking about bridging education and research, I think the key role here is played by the 4EU+ flagships. And it is crucial to understand what the flagships are, or rather who the flagships are, because flagships are people. It is a community driven by the researchers and teachers from various disciplines, and it is really international community. And we have 4 flagships here in the Alliance, and those 4 flagships were developed already in 2018 on the basis of existing research networks at our partner member universities. And then, thanks to Erasmus Plus project, flagships were mostly concerned with the education, and they are still continuing to develop educational offer. But now, also in one core project, they are focusing more on PhD candidates. So here is also the linkage. And I would also say that flagships are the place, because this is the place where education and research meets through the implemented projects. In the flagships, we have educational projects, mini grants, Seed4U+ projects. There is also affiliation to the visiting professorships that are somehow affiliated to the flagships. And in each flagship, we have to manage up to 30 projects. And I think I can also say that here is our strength. There is the power to connect teams, connect people, to address global challenges of our time that are emphasized in political agendas and mission statements of the United Nations, European Union, and also our national governments. And when it comes to the education, I think flagships provides an educational offer based on research-based education, and this is prescribed in all the educational activities, in summer or winter schools, in courses, modules, micro-credentials, or joint study programs. And when we talk also about the added value to the work of the flagships, it is their connection with associated or external partners, because, and I can tell you an example. In April, University of Geneva invited all 4 flagships to meet with international organizations. So this was an opportunity to start a discussion, sharing best practices, and also talk about future collaboration, for example, with SDG summer schools, SDG solution space, or WHO, and many others. And what was also great that as an immediate response to this international workshop was that For You Plus Alliance opened 4 places for You Plus students to join SDG summer schools. It was supported by For You Plus scholarships, and I can also tell you that flagships are open to share their best practices and their success stories. For example, in June we had educational days, and among all the workshops and trainings there were also a forum for sharing good practices, and flagships were talking about how they are implementing research-based education and how they are working it in the area of implementing skills and competencies of For You Plus. And maybe you also asked what is the added value of For You Plus in bridging education and research. And I think on the first place, it is a collaborative network. For You Plus facilitated this collaboration, and it allows us to work on joint projects. And joint projects are key for creating an amazing educational offer. But I don't want to take all the time here, and it will be much more interesting to hear specific activities from our flagships.
So let's start with flagship 1, which is joining 2 apparently very faraway topics, living in cities and health. And the title of the flagship is Urban Health and Demographic Change. Actually, we have now developed the awareness that health is not just something biological, but it depends on the context. And we cannot address health issues disregarding the person and disregarding the context in which the person lives. And living in urban environments, of course, poses a series of challenges to human health. And living in the, let's say, affluent part of the world poses also specific challenges in terms of disease, in terms of availability and use of medicaments. And these topics are reflected in the education projects of our flagship. Just to make some examples concerning research-based education, we have in our flagship one of the first initiatives that was launched was the Cancer Summer School, including participants, teachers and researchers from different disciplines, so approaching cancer from different points of view and inviting students from different disciplines to join and to learn from each other in order to envisage a joint master degree for studying cancer from the multifaceted perspective. There is, again, joining research and education, a course addressing the challenges of the cities, of the urban environment, the resilient cities course was recently integrated by a grant obtained with the with the seed money of the For You Plus Alliance. Developing some reflection concerning the history, geography, and political issues characterizing the urban environment in Europe. Another example is the epilepsy online course, which was developed from the beginning, I would say, and which has been implemented progressively by the collaboration of more and more also external partners, experts in epilepsy from other areas, not the academia only, and which is going to develop into a master degree. And finally, a challenge taken by the Alliance, by the flagship 1, specifically, was the development of the study of compatibility of curricula. How much can we compare curricula within the same broad area of themes, just to make an example, geography and geosciences and environmental sciences, and how it is possible to develop, based on these shared knowledge and common themes of research, some modules, some plug-in modules that can be used for short-term mobility for all the students of the Alliance coming from different degrees, which have a basic common topic, which is environment and geography and geosciences. So these are challenges taken, which could only be taken based on research. And as concerns the other way around, the influence of education and research, I can only tell about my experience. Students very often pose amazingly interesting questions that we didn't think about as researchers. And sometimes students feed our curiosity, our question developing in our own research domain. So it is really a permanent exchange between teachers and students.
All right, thank you very much for your interesting question. I represent Flagship 2 that brings together researchers from humanities and social sciences. In the Alliance, we work very broadly with what it is to be a European in the context of the European Union. We focus on the culture and politics of multilingualism, pluralities, which are, you can say, defining qualities of contemporary European societies. Furthermore, we work on different aspects of citizenship. I think the 4EU Plus dimension really is crucial here, both at a scientific level and a kind of a level of the consciousness, both of the teachers, researchers, and students. I think the experience we've seen in Flagship 2 is that when you open up for cooperation between different universities, researchers and teachers that are kind of called in to do bottom-up applications, to do common teaching, they exchange and refine both their research insights and also their approaches to teaching. Of course, coming from very different countries with different traditions, you can say that collaboration like that, hopefully, and I think in most cases have a tendency to, let's say, pull out the best ideas and the best standards for teaching and pedagogical approaches. And I think that has led in the courses that we have supported in our flagship to many innovative new ways of teaching important topics that involve the students in a new way and improve the skills and competences of the students. And I would like to add that it's not only about collaboration in teaching research and kind of involving the students in that through teaching, it's also the element of mobility that is really crucial here. Because it ensures that students meet across national borders, they learn from each other, they obtain a new European and international outlook on themselves and their colleagues from other states. And I will go a little bit concretely into what Flagship 2 is doing, I think, in the next round. But here I just want to end with a wonderful example from my own experience. I had the possibility to teach a 4EU Plus course before I became Flagship coordinator that dealt with European cooperation since 1918, together with colleagues from Warsaw, Milan, and Paris. And it was during the pandemic, but we had the fortunate that we wanted to end the course with a paper seminar here at the University of Milan. And fortunately, we could finally all come together after the pandemic. And we had students here from Copenhagen, Milan, Paris, and Warsaw. And among the students from Warsaw, there were actually a number of refugees, you could say, from Belarusia that were studied at University of Warsaw, but had been part of the democracy movement in Belarusia that failed at the first attempt. Let's hope there's a better future for them. But what came out of this kind of discussion, both of research papers, but also of these different national experiences, and in particular the Belarusian students that were there, were really fascinating discussions about what democracy meant, what European democracy meant, what it meant to be part of the European Union. And I must say, when I left Milan there with my 8 Danish students and we stood in the airport discussing, I really felt that not only had these 8 Danes experienced how life is in Italy, but also due to the warm welcome of the Italian students, I must impress here, that was super impressive, but they really came home with a different type of consciousness and identity about what it meant to be a student in a European context. So I think that testifies a little bit to the aspirations we have in the Alliance, that it's something for the future to achieve, of course, that every student will have a kind of or let's say can participate in the Alliance activities. But I think, in a sense, what we aim for is already happening. Thank you.
So I would take it over, Morten, from your part, and would be more specific from what we are doing in Flagship 3. Flagship 3 is about digitalization, modeling, and transformation. So that's the technical part, so to say, from the 4 flagships, which is relating to computer science, mathematics, and computational sciences. And, well, we have 2 parts. Actually, we have the master. We don't touch the bachelor because bachelor is just an introduction and it's a little bit too early to do that from our feeling, combining research and teaching. And if you talk about master courses, I mean, universities have this research-oriented teaching. That's the normal stuff, what we do anyway. And we have the second pillar, which is the PhD, so the research part. And maybe I just take an example. We have in our flagship, we have every partner has a key project, so to say, and we just pick out one of these key projects here for this question to illustrate that what we are doing. That's a Master of AI, guided by Vincenzo Piori from the University of Milan. Yeah? And AI is very popular, very radically changing many fields, yeah, in science. Yeah? And here we have the opportunity to bring the expertise, different expertise from different partners together, yeah, which means, because, I mean, if you just look at Heidelberg University, we are, say, two handful of people doing AI intensively, yeah, but if you just combine all together, yeah, you have a huge group, yeah, and this allows those students who are interested in a particular topic just to go to their university where they find special courses, yeah. But however, that's not easy. I mean, we're working since years on that here, and there are a lot of obstacles. You can't imagine how many obstacles are there, yeah? So Vincenzo is doing a really great job for that here, but it still takes time, yeah? I mean, you have to bundle things together from different regulations and so on. That's a nightmare, so to say. Okay, first part. Second part, PhD. Indeed, this has not so much reflected so far, because the focus on 4U Plus was at first on the master courses or bachelor if possible. But this is becoming to be more important. And the normal way for PhD is, well, to have collaborations in the sense that you have summer schools, for example, to bring them together. Yeah. But we're also just starting, and we hope that we can intensify that over time to have joint applications. We started with a Marie Curie application. We get a little funding from the university, so Bonn and Heidelberg, for supporting that. This is very important, by the way. This is a very critical issue because it's a lot of work, yeah, to write EU applications, yeah? And everything what helps there would fuel the research and the teaching, because PhDs are also getting integrated schools, and this is a very important element. And the second are just applications for joint workshops. We are trying to do that with Sorbonne together, and we hope, cross fingers, all cross fingers please, that it's getting through. So that was my part. Hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. So for the flagship. For the flagship 4, so we're working on various thematics. It's very large diversity of thematics, of course.
and the interaction between education and research is very strong. So I will try to take 3 examples in order to answer to your 3 questions. And the first one on the influence of research on education. One of the examples that we can provide is probably the courses on the use of genomic editing through the CRISPR technology. So it's one of the last biotechnologies that we can find in biology. In the context of the protection of the culture or the protection of the species exposed to anthropic pressure. It's very interesting because there is a lot of practice, there is a lab workshop in these courses, and so it's clearly how finally high level of research with recent research can finally help us to provide a new education program and with a very high level program of education in this kind of field. So more on the experimental skills from the laboratory finally. On the second question and the influence of education on research, one of the examples could be the Collegio Futuro. So it's a specific program that we have for the PhD in order to have a mix of PhD students from diverse universities, from diverse disciplines. And they are to work on diverse thematics, diverse projects in order to produce solution ideas, also to work on the communication of science to the public. And so it's very interesting because there is a kind of brainstorming of different students from different disciplines, young students, young brain. So it's very interesting because they are faced to environmental question, very challenging question, and they try to provide new idea based on research idea. And so it's very clearly a clear possibility and influence of education on research because you can see emergence of very interesting idea with young researcher or future young researcher. The last example and the opportunity that's offering for you plus probably ABC Biodiversity. It's a good example. It's a teaching on biodiversity and influence of the human on ecosystem. There is common courses, but also there is field and experimentation in the field. And that's very interesting because with these courses, we have the students have the opportunity to go to the marine station, for example, in the field, in the forest. So it means that also for your place, it's offering a research object that can be also an opportunity for education program because the student is going on the field, in the marine station, also to make some work as the researcher is making.
Thank you for the answers. I have a question. As a students of this era, we are fully aware of the diverse global challenges our societies currently face and will face. How does FORYOU Plus promote innovation in both research and education to address these issues? And how is FORYOU Plus actively preparing and equipping us to tackle such challenges?
Well, within Flagship 1, just to provide some example concerning the topics of urban health and demographic change, there are some interesting proposals which have been very successful as far as students told us. The first one is a short mixed blended course with some online classes and 5 days intensive work on site, which we inherited from Copenhagen University, who was the first one proposing this activity in several years ago. It is called the Urban Health Case Challenge, And it consists in raising a challenge, usually the challenge related to living in cities and how living in cities affects the health of the citizens. Usually the challenge is proposed by stakeholders, like the municipality or some hospital or an association of architects who are thinking about designing green spaces in a city. And students are offered classes from researchers in different aspects of this challenge. And then they are asked to work in small groups to find solutions to this challenge. Then there is a jury at the end identifying the best solutions provided by student teams, which sometimes can be used, can be implemented in real life by the stakeholders themselves. So this is an important way in which students are encouraged in thinking as professionals to topics which are relevant for the society. Joining their experience from different degrees, because students are usually coming from different degrees, and from different countries where the same challenge maybe is already addressed from different perspectives. They can really develop, let's say, a European view of one single project together, and together with the associate partners of the 4U+. And another example is the pharmacoepidemiology initiative. It was born as a course training students in how to use national databases on the epidemiology of medicaments, start thinking about how it can be developed a common ground for pharmacoepidemiology and pharmacovigilance all over Europe, which is a very important goal at the societal level. So this initiative was started as a course. It has been developing into a joint master degree, and it has also got fundings from the seed grant of the Alliance. So it is nourished from different sides. And finally, I just want to mention the amazing contribution of University of Geneva, which is providing real experiences of students, real opportunities for students and for researchers of the Alliance to interact with international agencies, which is the most recent acquisition of the Alliance, but last but not least. Thank you.
Thank you again for an interesting question of how we can contribute to explore and address global challenges. I think it's fair to say that, in Flagship 2, we are really very broad in terms of discipline. We deal with social sciences, humanities, law, etc. And I think in a way it's fair to say that these disciplines have progressed quite dramatically scientifically over the last 50 years, both in terms of critical and reflexive thinking, theoretical prowess, and empirical methodologies. And as such, these fields can potentially contribute to major innovation and reform of human societies, and I think at a point in history where this is desperately needed. And this is exactly where what we have done and what we do in Flagship 2 is crucial, both as research-based education, but also as research. Our disciplines have the skill set to analyze the complexity of contemporary societies, and that's exactly what we bring also to the students in the various courses we have developed. So the students we educate will have a refined theoretical and methodological understanding of contemporary societies and the challenges we face. And it's our hope, but also strong belief, that the students later in their career will be able to analyze complex social problems, but also be able to contribute with solutions. Essentially, you can say, what does it matter, for example, if we have the technological means to solve climate change, but our societies and governments don't have the ability to actually agree to do it? right? So social sciences, humanities, law, they actually do matter to how we address some of these major challenges in the coming years. And we have a number of courses that deals with communication, with multilingualism, with citizenship, with memory studies, but also on, if you could, what you could say, the technology of European and international cooperation, whether it's legal techniques or institutional building, etc. And I think these are important themes to address the challenges of modern society. And I just want to highlight here at the end, of course, also our new joint program of migration studies that we have developed in Flagship 2, which, of course, is, if you like, a courageous theme to choose, because just being here in Italy, we can see how political fraud migration actually is in our society. But nevertheless, this is also the type of topics we would have to challenge as an alliance. Thank you.
So again, this was a good starting. For my part, I can focus on a certain point. I mean, the first important part is that the activities are, say, coming from the bottom. So student involvement, teachers, yeah, have to develop that here. That's a very important part, and they just guide it, yeah. And an example of that here for this is the ITT workshops, what we are doing. So the interdisciplinary technology tank workshops, yeah. That's an idea we borrowed from another university, from Bath, University of Bath. They had made that for 10 years, and this was quite successful. The idea is the following. You have 1 week, and a week you have together non-academic stakeholders, so it could be industry or city. For example, now we have this week, we have this ITT in Geneva, and the city of Geneva is the stakeholder there. Yeah? So it's not only technical, it's just the society, stakeholders from the society involved, yeah? And they utter their problems, their challenges. This is the challenge which should be solved. Yeah? Concrete challenge there. And then we have master students, we have PhD students, we have postdocs, and we have researchers, so faculty. Yeah? And they sit together for a week and try. Now the big point, it's not enough to utter the problem, you have to analyze what is the real problem behind that. What is the research question of that here? Not the problem is the research question, there's something behind, you have to find it out. You have to distill this question, and the result of that here is a research proposal with potential solutions to this here, which then lead later to a potential master thesis together with the stakeholders or a PhD thesis, yeah? So this is a way to bring that together and concretely tackle a challenge. I mean, whether it's going to the master or PhD thesis is a different story. It's a long-term vision, what we have in mind, but at the end, this outreach is very important because that's essentially our associated partners around, which I learned also from the Marie Curie proposal, yeah? We have to have a lot of these partners because, I mean, we're not searching isolatedly, we're just doing that together for the society, not for us, for the society at the end. And that's our mission. And we have to do that as 4U+ together. Yeah? And this is the very important part to get a groundbreaking thing forward towards these challenges. So far, my vision, and I hand it to you.
It's an interesting question, but I want to say it's the question, in fact. Because in the environmental transition, you know, there is so many issues, climatic change, problem of pollution. And so the question is how to allow the academics to be involved in the decision, in the interaction with policy, with all the important steps that can allow a change in the world. And for that, we need a more interaction of research with all that, but also we need a strong and better, good education of the students in order to be the future citizen and actors of this change. For that, I want to say that for research and education, because it's true for the both thematics, we need strong consortia, and for European Alliance can allow us to construct very interesting consortia with interdisciplinarity, with a strong expertise in several thematics. We need also to have an European vision with integration of national and international context. That's very important to have also this systemic vision, global view of all the problematic at the European level, but also at the national level. For that, we have, for example, the project of Erasmus Mundus Joint Master, MERGE, the Global Environment and Development. So it's a very specific program on natural resource management for economic, environmental, institutional, and societal advancement. And this interdisciplinary program, it's research-based, with this objective to have a global vision of the problematic, and with also an integration of the European perspective and the cross-national or cross-institutional synergy. So it's very interesting, quite representative of this kind of development. And to finish, I think that also, and we are working like this in the flagship 4, we have to translate this objective in order to respond to the society and the need of the society. And so we are trying to explain how the research and education program can respond to the sustainable development goals, but also of the problematic of the planet boundaries. And in this case, we know that there is also a lot of demands of the partners. For example, for the Collegio Futuro, one of the objectives is also to work on specific programs that can be developed with external partners because they are waiting some solution, some response. And so we have to work in this way, also with interaction with the partners, because we are not alone and we have to connect the academic with the world.
Thank you. From the previous dialogues, we heard nice concepts such as the shared infrastructures or collaboration or open to the world and not only to our universities. All this is part of open science. Public research, both results and processes, should be accessible, transparent, and reproducible. And this is very important for the development of research that benefits all of society. You, as students, and as future researcher or professional or citizens, should be able to access relevant information for your work or research or life, and should be sure that this information is reliable, that you can trust on it. Open science should become the new normal in our activities and is transversal to all our flagships, representing a bridge between research and education. For these reasons, we prepared a set of seminars open for you on the different topic, with the purpose of familiarizing our students, mainly PhD students, but not only PhD students, with different processes, policies, and tools. These materials are obviously accessible to everyone via Zenodo, the institutional repository of the European Commission. And in the years, we try to make them more interactive and to introduce live interviews with experts and testimonials to show the application aspects of what we illustrated in the seminars. Obviously, if you have any suggestion or request, we are of course willing to make changes or addition to our programs. In one core, the bridge between research and education will be more evident through an additional task on university publishing. The idea in this second task is to produce textbooks, open access, accessible not only for our students, but also to all students or professors who have an internet connection and interested in the topics. The task will have a theoretical and shared guidelines part that we will share with other universities who are willing to produce textbooks, and the end results will be the production of at least a couple of textbooks according to these guidelines. We are convinced that this activity must fully reflect the ethical scope of open science and the close connection between research and education. And, at the end, please let me thank all colleagues of other university working on this topic. It was and is a pleasure to work with them, and I'm really proud to work with all of them.
Thank you very much, and I would like to take the final words of Paola to thank everybody, because this is a really collective work, and you know better than me that the work of everybody is important, and I thank the two dialogues panel and our students, because it's so short time, I would say. They give us a very nice comprehensive picture, and especially in this case of the crosstalk between research and education. And with this final picture of hope and peace, I will give you some information more practical. I ask our colleagues to go down on the floor again. And since we are more or less half an hour of delay, we make a Solomonic choice, 15 less in lunch and 15 less in the meeting. So we will meet not at 13:30, but at 13:45 in the different venues where you know we will be. And thanks again. And please, now we will have as a final point this. We launch this video that is our institutional video, and please have a look on For You Plus.
Interrompo solo un secondo. As Europe's leading universities, we are responsible for accompanying our students as they acquire the knowledge to build a better future. We support our researchers as they expand the limits of knowledge, which helps society address the challenges of today. We believe in the power and impact of diversity and collaboration. That is why we are working together to create one comprehensive research-intensive European university. The 4EU+ Alliance is made up of 8 large public European universities: Charles University, Heidelberg University, Paris Pantheon Assas University, Sorbonne University, University of Copenhagen, University of Geneva, University of Milan, and University of Warsaw. While strongly embedded in our local regions, we proudly share common values and a global outlook. We are building a transnational university of the future, which will be adapted to the needs of contemporary society. What are the values that guide us? Personalization of education. We want to help everyone access high-quality education by offering programs that respect the needs of students and give them the opportunity to take ownership of their learning. Interdisciplinarity as our response to society's expectations. We believe that engaging students, academics, and professionals across borders and different disciplines fosters creativity and gives rise to better solutions for the future. Excellence in both education and research. We are convinced that research and education are inseparable, as one cannot produce high-quality results without the other. We are developing a truly united university system to create synergies, achieve complementarity, and build one common yet intercultural identity. Our education and research are centered around 4 flagships interdisciplinary thematic areas addressing the most crucial societal and educational challenges that our world is grappling with. Within flagships, we offer a range of opportunities such as new and flexible mobility schemes, education and training modules, transversal academic projects, innovative joint courses and programs, and other initiatives that ensure learning continues well beyond the classroom. Through collaborative work, we create a unique added value. For EU+, growing together.